We back. Chat, we back, man. We had to restart the damn stream because the last one was lagging. Hopefully, bro. Just hopefully, I pray that this one don't be lagging like the last one was, bro. Dog, Costa not live too. Costa not live too. Costa not live too. Bro, Costa not such a W, man. Duke Dennis, the whole AMP group such a W, bro. Whole group is such a W, bro. I feel like it's lagging again. I just know it's about to be lagging again. It's about to be lagging again, ain't it? Yup. Wait. Wait, chat. Hold on, chat. Hold on, chat. Hold on, chat. It's not lagging. Hold on, wait. Give it a second, just to see. Just to be sure. It's not lagging. Let's go. Yo. Alright. We back up on here, man. Yo. Right, why everybody skipping me, bro? Like, how you going? Let me see if I'm still banned on Omegle, bro. Because Omegle is actually better than this. Last time I got banned on Omegle because I was doing something, man. I'm still banned. Like, damn. Like, unban me, bro. Unban me. Sorry, Omegle. I don't know what I did. But just unban me. You won't regret it. Not gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, chat. I might talk about the United States, chat. France servers on here is an L. France servers on here is an L, man. What the fuck, man? Yeah. Damn. Like, the fuck? Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. Don't skip, nigga. I knew it, bro. Yo, it's not lagging. Nice. Fucking finally. Thank you, bro.
Fine. I would have stuffed you like a turkey.
For real. It should really be the other way around. You tripping?
Add me on Snap.
Alright, bet. You can't skip. You gotta let me add you first. Hold on.
Her phone broke, so she gonna have to add you back tomorrow when she get it fixed.
Alright. Hold on, I'm about to add you right now. Hold on. Alright. Accept my friend request when you get your phone fixed tomorrow. Chad, you see how easy that was, bro?
I'm gonna suck your cock so maximum.
That's what I'm saying, Triple N. She talking about she trying to stuff me. What the fuck? She talking about she trying to stuff me. I told her supposed to be the other way around. And I wasn't even trying to raise right there either. She just gave me her snap. Like, what? Don't put my chips down, nigga. I'm gonna do it. She capping so hard. Yo. Damn, bro. People skipping me real quick. Like, what y'all skipping me for? I'm like, damn.
I was trying to get you to...
Yo. Say something, nigga. Fuck. Like, why you going? Why is you on here if you're not even gonna fucking talk, bro? Like, come on now. Hey, chat. Hey, Triple N. I'm about to put on my voice changer, bro. I'm about to shock some people, man. They about to be up in here like timeout. Cause last time I was on stream, I had the deep ass voice changer on. You feel me? They was talking about, damn, your voice about deep as here. They was talking about my voice about deep as hell. You feel me? That shit was crazy. Had me happy even though that shit was fake. Word. We about to put it on. Hey, Triple Amp. When I blow up, if I do blow up, just know that you always gonna be one of my day ones, bro. Cause you up on here just chilling. Not many people just be doing that whole time. When people come across my stuff, they click on and click right off. You feel me? So you a W, man. So I'ma always remember you, even like if I blow up type shit. You a W, bro. You a W, man. You a W, man. Give yourself a pat on the back, on bro. On bro. Fuck around with voice mod. Bro, my voice mod tripping. Yo, what's going on, dude? Not this shit again, bro. Apps freezing and shit. I ain't gonna lie. I might have to hop on talking Ben. Hey, should I hop on talking Ben? You gotta tell me what to ask him. You gotta tell me what to ask him now. I'm about to hop on talking Ben. I might hop on talking Ben. I feel like hopping on talking Ben right now. I'm about to train with Mordex for real. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. After this stream over with, I'm about to be on Brawlhalla probably all night training, bro. And next time I play you, I'm gonna be goated. Watch. Trust. I would join on my phone though. Alright, bet for sure. Alright, I'm not about to hop on talking Ben. Yeah, I lied.
Bro, it's something wrong with my voice mod. Like, it's literally not working. This is not okay. I don't like this. It's not working, man. You know what? LOL. We will see. I'm plat. Man, watch. Hey, I'm trying to tell you. Just give me literally a night, and I'm gonna hop back on. I'm gonna be dogging you. And my friend probably better than you too. You should want to be with my friend, boy. I'm gonna turn my camera back on. I see you. Okay. I need some copyright-free music to be playing though. You feel me? I need some copyright-free music. I don't got no damn copyright-free music, so you really not that guy, bro. You really not that guy, bro. See, right now you that guy, but that Brawlhalla, you not that guy. You not that guy, bro. Hold on, what's going on my camera? Where my shit at? Oh, it's deactivated. I'm trying to tell you, my friend really him at Brawlhalla for like he only be on there that much no more either, but he really PC whoop for like you feel me? Meet him, put you in the team combo. I ain't gonna lie. It's 3 people in the chat, but none of you, the rest of y'all not talking. Y'all just sitting here watching. Say something in the chat, bro. Stop being lame, man. Come on, chat. Say something. Spam dubs or something, bro. And if y'all new here, sub. I'm why so much. If y'all don't know me, now y'all do. If y'all like what y'all seeing here, drop a sub, like this live stream, and share this channel with y'all friends. And follow my Instagram. It's right there. All my friends are diamond. I don't know what rank my friend is because I don't know if he play. Damn. You feel me? But yeah. You know what? We about to react to some Meat Canyon videos. You about to watch some Meat Canyon with me, bro. No, we don't like ads. We don't like ads. Hey, yo, this shit lagging, boy. Alright.
Hey, what's that up there?
What the fuck?
Bet you never been this close to a celebrity before, huh? You want to take a A selfie or don't focus down there. Here, look back up here. Here, have a prime. Yeah, go ahead and drink that. Yeah, it's smooth, isn't it? Yeah, smooth. Oh. Oops, sorry. I thought you might have been dying or passing away there. No, that's okay. There we go. There it is. Huh. Not much in here. That's okay. I'll tell you what, though. That's a great shirt. Oh, yeah, it feels nice. Yeah, let me just get that off here real quick.
I ain't gonna lie. If this shit ever happened to me, bro, I'm gonna hit you.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna have to hit you some devious, bro. This is not okay. I don't even want to watch that no more, man. But you probably do triple ant, so I'm gonna finish this video for you.
Oh, you gotta work on that. I mean, here, check this out. Check this out. Nah, it's okay. Go ahead. You can look. It's pretty remarkable. I know it look good. Look
what the fuck?
You wanna touch it? I better get those shoes from you too. Here. You stop squirming. Stop squirming. Here, Mike, come help with this.
Yeah. Man,
bro, what?
Logan's been working on so much crazy stuff this year. He's a total workhorse.
Meat Canyon
right, Logan?
Is wild,
sure.
bro.
Yeah, sure. Just here. Let's get those panties off. Here, get on your back.
Yeah.
Hell no, bro.
He's trustworthy too.
Nope.
He's the best. He's the best. I
No.
love him.
No.
Trustworthy, aren't I, boy?
Yeah, Logan.
No.
You are.
This
Can I get
is.
paid now? Or
I already paid you, remember? This stuff is for daddy, okay?
This nigga Meat Canyon
Now,
is wild.
I know you
bro.
might be mad. Listen, I hear you. I am just as upset as you are. That's why I have a video to show you. Here, let me find it real quickly. It's like, here, this usually tends to calm people down a bit. Oops, not that one. That's for another thing. Let me see. Nah, not that one. No, not that one either. Well, you know, I'll find something for you to chew on soon enough. But, you know, I don't know. Just give it a week.
This shit is crazy.
A month. I don't know. You'll forget all about this, and we'll be even Stevens. All right, buddy? Thanks again. Mike, come on!
Why is that nigga crawling like that, bro? Hell no. All right. Hey, Triple Ant, give me something scary to watch. I want to watch something scary, cause where I'm at is nighttime. I'm on the Eastern time zone. Let me know. Give me something scary to watch.
Triple ant. I need something scary to watch, buddy. Matter of fact, you don't need to tell me now. I'm gonna just type in scary animations. I don't really watch scary stuff, so LOL. I don't know. Type shit. I don't either, cause you feel me. I like to sleep at night. I'm on game all day, every day. Type shit. I ain't on game all day, every day, but I do be on the game every day though. Cause you know my Christmas break about to end January 9th, so I'm keeping up with these consistent uploads and stuff. You feel me?
AdsKiller.
I am.
.com. Click on Activate Now. Add AdsKiller to your browser.
How you gonna ask me if I'm sick of ads and gonna give me an ad, buddy?
My name is Denise, and I'm 34 years old.
Why that nigga sound like that? Hold on.
Let me impersonate that. My name is Denise. Hold on. What do you say? Hold on, my bad, chat. My bad, chat. I'm taking too long. My name is Denise, and I'm 34 years old. There we go, chat.
My name is Denise, and I'm 34 years old. A few years ago, I met a wonderful man in his early 40s named Cole. In fact, I met him because I applied to a job at his law firm, where he was one of the associates. Simply couldn't be ignored.
Okay,
He
that's
asked me
fine.
out, and I accepted, and long story short, we became a couple. It was still working as his secretary, though. I was no less professional due to the fact that I was dating my boss. And the thing is, Cole was no less demanding either. Nevertheless, we got along so well that this duality was never a problem to us. We were perfectly capable of separating the waters. Months passed, and Cole asked if I wanted to live with him. I was thrilled with the idea, but there was a big problem, if I'm allowed to call it that. I lived with my mother, and she was confined to a wheelchair. She was in a car accident when I was in my early 20s, and she lost her ability to walk. And besides that, her brain suffered from minor injuries too. This meant that her intellectual capacities regressed. My mother was still functional, but to give an example, it was like she had become a child from a mental point of view. I introduced Cole to my mother, of course, inviting him to our house. At first, she was friendly towards him, but as his visits increased, so did my mother's hostility towards my boyfriend. Bad man. I don't like you. Bad man wants to take daughter away from me. Go away.
What?
My mother spoke things like that.
Are you hating?
I didn't know what to do. Fortunately, Cole was very understanding. Listen, there's no need to rush. We can wait before moving in together. Things are good between us as they are, he said. Yes, you're right, but in the future, we have to think of something, I replied, expressing my concerns. I know, but tomorrow is tomorrow, and today is today. We could hire someone to take care of your mother. You know I have enough money for that. There are very skilled professionals, even from a psychological, emotional, and human point of view. They're experienced in dealing with all sorts of personalities. Old people and sick people can be quite complicated regarding their behaviors. They get depressed. They feel abandoned, and of course...
Not gonna lie, chat, I wanna learn how to make animations like this, chat. Like this right here. Damn, bro. I got a lot of mucus in my throat. What the fuck? But this right here, chat, this right here, code. Like, this imagine just being able to animate shit like this, man. This right here. This is W animation, you feel me? I'm fucking with it so far. I wonder what type of turn this story about to take, though.
Of course, they're afraid of dying, Cole said. Yes, it's probably a good idea. My mother's not that old. She's 60. And I wanted to live my life and be happy, but I know this sounds selfish, but I don't want to be her nurse forever, and it wouldn't be healthy for either of us secretly wishing for her death, I said, being sincere. Absolutely. I agree with you, Denise. At first, she's gonna reject another person in her daily life, but with time, she'll get used to it. Although I believe it's best to wait another year before taking that step. How about 10 months? I asked, with a naughty smile on my face. 10 months it is, Cole answered before he kissed me.
There's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online.
Always ruining stuff, man.
Watch this. I can show you how to get this.
Oh yeah, chat. Triple amp.
And
You a
so
W fan
it
and
was
all,
decided.
and I don't like to ask too much from my fans, but if you don't mind, if you can donate, boy, my donation link is in the description, like right now. So if you want to donate as we speak, you could donate right here, right now, with no regrets, man. And I appreciate it very much. And you feel me? That's really it.
Cole still visited me now and then, and sometimes he would stay for the night. But this became impossible, because my mother had begun screaming from her bedroom during the night. I want that bad man out of my house. I know he's in there with you, Denise. You don't love me anymore. I'm your mother. You're a bad daughter.
Crazy.
You're betraying me. My patience was now completely terminated. I decided to move in with Cole, even before the 10-month period. My mother would never accept anything else, out of goodwill, that would change
That is crazy, bro.
our depressive routine. And so, just like we had planned, Cole was kind enough to hire 2 women, former nurses, to take care of my mother. They would adjust the schedules between them so that my mother would never be alone in the house. And of course, the nurses would be allowed to have their weekly days off as well. When both of them were unavailable due to exceptional reasons like vacations or certain holidays, then Cole and I would stay with my mother, or at least I would. Truth is, I didn't want to abandon my mother. I still loved her, regardless of how hard that was. But I tried to understand her situation. In the beginning, as we predicted, my mother was very hostile towards me with the new arrangement. But I kept visiting her almost every week, and in time she got used to the nurses. She seemed to be happy, which made me happy as well. I could enjoy my life with my wonderful Cole without feeling regretful. Eventually, I also expected that there came a situation in which neither of the nurses was able to stay with my mother. It was now my turn. I better stay home. Your mother won't be happy to see me, Cole said, and I agreed. I was going to stay with my mother for just a couple days. After sleeping there the first night, I called Cole in the morning, but he wasn't answering his cell phone. Throughout the entire day this happened. I became worried and went to Cole's house, regardless of my mother's protests. Cole wasn't there. His cell phone was now dead. With a painful, terrified heart, I went to the police and requested them to help me find him. 1 week passed. My boyfriend was still completely absent. He was now officially a missing person. I moved back with my mother. I didn't have the right to stay at Cole's place, and I also didn't have the money to pay for the nurses, so I had to let them go. My dear Denise, you love me again. I'm so glad you're home, my mother said. But I was
people, she doing with her fingers.
Nevertheless, I was soon to receive news from Cole. After a couple months, the police came to my house. Good morning, officers. Do you have any information about Cole? I asked immediately. Ma'am, yes we do, and unfortunately, it isn't the best. In fact, we're here to arrest your mother. She's suspected of arranging the murder of Cole Truman. The police officer said.
What?
My jaw dropped and my blood went cold. What? Evidence seems to be pointing that way, but she's not alone. We have caught one of the nurses as well. We are still on the lookout for the others. The officer barged
That is
into
wild.
my
Especially one of the nurses too. Like the main factor, the mother, bro. The mother. In the beginning of the video, they said that she's mentally unstable because of the fucking car crash. She disabled from the waist below, and she got minor brain injuries or major. I don't really remember, but they said that her mental state is like a childlike, childlike. You feel me? And then one of the nurses too. After the nigga Cole was paying the nurses, bro, you gonna turn around and kill that nigga, bro? That is wild.
So shocked. I didn't know what to
That is
do
wild,
or
Shaq.
say.
I ain't gonna lie.
In time, I got to know what happened. My mother apparently had a lot of money, which I didn't know about. It was from my dead father's term insurance. But the truly disturbing thing was that my mother faked her mental disability for years in order to keep me under her wing.
Mother, bro.
She used the money to convince the nurses to kill Cole and get rid of the body. Fortunately, they weren't professional enough and couldn't cover up the murder and unintentionally left traces behind. I am now officially free of my mother, and I will never visit her in jail. Unfortunately, I also lost Cole, the love of my life. My life was in pieces.
Tell mother, bro.
Where do I go from here?
Tell mother in the chat, man. Tell mother in the chat, man. I would never do that to my child, bro. Take away the love of her life.
Too scared to subscribe?
Dame Maggie's smile was infectious. I caught a grin from watching her stand in front of the mirror, twirling this way and that as she assessed her new frame.
Ugh.
The glee caught me by surprise, and I sensed my heart snap against the muscly confines of my chest. I was doing the right thing, I thought to myself as I watched the
why is this
corrupt
nigga
concern
fat?
creep up the side of her face and finally settled.
Why they
Her
built
mood
like this, bro?
changed so easily. The pills have worked so much magic on me, Christian, she said. Her new spindling frame was an intoxicating sight that came and went fleetingly. I could sense her yearning for her old body. I swallowed awkwardly and wiped the back of my hands over my face to cleanse the sweat that had begun to bead around my brow. She turned back to the mirror, and my mind returned to my concern. It had only been a few days, and it had worked like magic. I was too excited. I felt my fingers quiver from watching her. Look at me, Christian. I've lost 100 pounds in 13 days. I'm as lean as those models that walk on a fashion runway. I bet I wouldn't be recognized by anybody right now. She continued to speak as I sensed her tone fall lower, more ruthful. They would love you better, I muttered. She heaved and looked back at the mirror. I watched her from where I sat, and simple thoughts flooded my mind. The concentration was averted to why I had done what I was doing. Dame Maggie was richer than anyone around. Hers was the type of wealth that was only heard of and almost none had seen. It was a life of possibilities and grandeur, which she had access above anyone else, and I had more access than anyone else in her life. It was for a good reason, but she had always maintained. That's why I call her Dame Maggie. It had been difficult at first, and I had spiraled off her course, but my purpose in the past had catapulted from a whoring young man to wealthy woman who could give me what I desired to something loftier. I was always bound to an insecure fat woman, and now I was possibly the heir of wealth so great it made my head spin to think that she almost never showed me the entirety of it. Standing before me in the mirror still was not Fat Dame Maggie, whose fortune spread across the continents. It was indeed a woman so thin and altered. You know, Christian, I feel so dizzy sometimes when I take those pills. Super helpful, but I must say, she called, distracting me from my line of thought. I saw the worry on her face, etched as a noticeable scowl. Perhaps she did too, because she immediately placed her hands under her eyes and toyed with the rolls of fat under her eyes. I brimmed with impatience. I couldn't wait for the weight loss pills to do its job. The desire scoured through my very fiber of being, like ravaging electricity. I could not afford to lose now, I thought to myself, as I stood from her bed and then got onto my feet. I contracted my muscles and released it playfully, and her eyes lit up from worry to concern. She was always like that. I had learned to deal with it. She waited my approach, frail as she was. I saw the effect of the weight loss pills on her skinny frame and why she had begun to worry. I had a terrible dream, Christian. I think I should stop taking the pills, she muttered suddenly.
You should, bro. Look how skinny you is.
I stopped in my tracks briefly and stole a furtive look at her hands, which came up by her side. She also glanced at it, and they were drying up. It would all go to waste. All my effort and time. I couldn't afford it. It's only been a few days, I urged her. Her eyes went to the counter by the mirror, and my eyes followed. And there it was, another glass of water and the pill. She had always wanted to be thin. She had her desires, but she had always been fat.
But that's what. Why you talking about your own girlfriend like that, though, Brody? Or is that your mom? Wait. It says two psycho mom story, so that might be his mom. Yeah, I think that's his mama, but.
And when she asked for my help, it was my opportunity. Time had not proven itself as an ally until that moment. Now, her hesitation threatened to snatch it from me. I exhaled deeply and stared into her eyes. I reached my hands over and she craned her neck to the rest of the side of her face on my open palm. I stroked the other side of her face, pulling lightly on her hair and caressing her emaciated cheeks as her eyes fluttered. You know, ever since I had you, I've always feared that you would be like me, she murmured with her eyes still shut. I watched her quietly, even though I had heard the story over 100 times. She was always the fat girl from the day she was born, and it had always affected her self-esteem so greatly that not even wealth and power could have been enough from betraying her vulnerability. I was nothing like her. In fact, I had gone after the same things that had intimidated her in life when she was younger, and I had lived my life as recklessly as I could. I had gone after her friends and betted them for money. They had all told me the same thing. Dame Maggie was a strange woman, and I already knew that. You should take your pill for the evening, and I suppose you should stop, I said to her, and her eyes slowly came open. She nodded her head feebly, and I moved my hand.
I'm confused, bro. Is this his mom or is this his girlfriend?
Glass and pill. I stood before it, sensing she waited behind me, and I decided that it was best not to wait it out. I slipped the lethal portion from my pants and replaced the slower killer. I handed the pill and the water to her. She took it with a smile on her face and swallowed. My mind raced ahead of time, and I imagined her gasping to death on the floor as I ran to the door to fetch someone who could help. An autopsy would be useless, as a cardiac arrest would be the most they would suspect. She had become lean too
this
quickly,
is fucked
they would say, and I would be rich.
I thought it was Psycho Mom stories,
You
not
know,
Psycho Son.
I had always thought you'd never do it, she said, still grinning as she stared at me and handed me the glass. What? I quizzed in confusion. I am your mother, Christian. I know you. This was all my design. I could not die with the guilt that I left you to this sick world to yourself, so I had you do it. Anyway, I drank the pill. I'm sick of this world already, she sighed. What are you talking about? I asked, sweaty with confusion, as the terror of confusion made me hot from within. Oh, I would just lay on the bed and be dead in 10 minutes. Don't call the cops until you're certain I'm dead, and don't touch anything else, she said as she moved to the bed to lay on it, with the most stiff expression and resignation I had ever seen her wear. There I was as she spoke and left me, stunned. I watched in dread as my mother surrendered to death, and it crippled me to think that she knew. It was 10 minutes, and just like that, just like she said, when the breeze had not blown and the world stood still around me, she knew, and it would haunt me forever.
That is crazy, bro. This nigga just killed his old mama, bro. This nigga just killed his own mother, bro. How can you just do that and be okay with that shit, bro? Like, how can you sleep at night knowing, like, damn, my mama dead, bro, because of me? Like, what type of shit, bro? This is not okay. Non-true horror stories. Right, bro. This is crazy. Like, what? Dude didn't kill his own mama. What's going on?
Easy Wheels started as my college project, and we now sell our wheel covers all around the world.
Nigga just tripping. I'm voting for Trump. I text a bitch and she sent me a dump. Every day she telling she's slump. I told you I'm up. Real nice. I'm on that good. You know, okay, I play that pussy. No. Hey man, she think I'm a munch. You think I'm a bitch? You think I'm a munch? Jay the producer. I think he got the best animated stuff right here. Hey, we about to watch these little 9 stories, and then after these 9 stories, you about to end stream, man.
I've lived a long enough life to have heard and seen a lot of unusual things. Of course, having spent many of my years in it in the state of Florida, I've seen firsthand on several occasions why the infamous Florida man is always making headlines across the country. Heck, I could have been one of those Florida men back in the day. But I can tell you without a doubt that no matter how steeled you think you've become against the surprises life throws at you, you're never invincible. Life always holds the power to shock you to your core. I mean, take me for example. I spent my years in the military, and I've spent my years on the streets, drifting between one rock and another hard place. But no matter what messed up stuff I have to see go down or deal with, I always bounce back. Well, almost always. Out of everything I've seen, only one thing made me lose my cool. And I think it was just the sheer unexpectedness of it. Just that I didn't think anything like it could ever happen in broad daylight in the middle of the city. But there's no denying that this happened. Everyone knows about it these days. It was a nice sunny day in Miami. I was making my way across town down the concrete mess of a highway, just to get out of that part of town I'd been in for the last few weeks. I'd never owned a car, so I was taking my bike down the shoulder. Except I wasn't riding it. I hadn't been sleeping well, and the night before I didn't manage to catch any sleep at all. I was honestly too drowsy to pedal in a straight line, so I was literally just walking my bike down the shoulder of the road. There was a sidewalk next to me, but it was on the other side of a concrete barrier, like the ones they use to divide directions of traffic on freeways. I could have hopped it on foot, but not with my bike. I don't know exactly how I'd ended up sandwiched there between the cars and the concrete, but after what happened later, I'd take that way again over the alternative. The sun was getting high and bright. It was starting to hurt my eyes. I squinted ahead and saw that there was a bridge down the way, a nice wide overpass to provide some shade. I started to quicken my pace, which felt pretty silly given that there were countless cars flying past me. But between the deafening whoosh of each vehicle passing, I kept thinking I was hearing something. Something that sounded like the shouts of a heated argument between drunk people.
That's the problem with you. It's knowing how this down.
That might not be something you'd expect to hear in the middle of the day in your town, but in Miami it's more than common. But I couldn't help but think it sounded a little unusual. I figured that sleep deprivation was screwing with me, and pressed on. But as I got closer to the bridge, the shouting grew louder. It sounded more like screaming, but there was some other tone in there, like a growling rabid dog. Every time I thought I was about to decipher it, a car would blow past me. Then, the sound would change. By the time I got to the bridge, my curiosity was piqued. I could definitely tell where the noise was coming from, straight ahead of me. Just a few more yards under the shade. I peeked over the edge of the barrier onto the sidewalk and saw 2 hairy pairs of men's legs sliding around together on the sidewalk. I instinctively darted my eyes away, not wanting to see much more above the thigh level. These experimenting people need to get a room. What are they thinking? Doing stuff like that on the side of the road in the beaming sun? Well, obviously no one cares because no one's stopping. Just another day in Florida. I did my best to keep my eyes to myself as I passed under the shade. I was thankful for the break from the intense light, but beneath the underside of the road above, some strange sounds began to echo, forcing me in for another look. This wasn't an act of suspicion, but there were 2 messed up looking dudes lying naked on the concrete, and one of them was crouched over the other, tearing into a man's face with his teeth. There was blood gushing out and spilling onto the asphalt. Bone showing through the bite wounds on the face. And flesh in the attacker's teeth as he looked up to notice me. Just to scream like a feral zombie as he looked me dead in the eye. It was at that exact moment that I jumped onto my bike and pedaled off at top speed. All prior drowsiness was erased by the shot of adrenaline. I kept looking back to see if I was being ran down by that psycho. but luckily he'd been content with scaring me off. I rolled down the first ramp that I got to and immediately went looking for a cop. I found one not even a block away, surrounded by several other very concerned-looking citizens. The police officer, however, seemed annoyed, but I was in a panic, and I never panic, so I must have been a sight to see all on my own. I barged through all those people and got right up into the cop's face. "There's a flippin' zombie on the frickin' pedestrian path. Up the ramp, just up that way." "Come on, don't get hysterical with me, people. What do you mean by zombie?" "There's a dude eating another dude's face off, man." Finally, it seemed like something clicked in the cop's brain. He didn't say anything to us. He walked straight into his car, speaking something into his radio. Then he drove up the off-ramp going the wrong way, out of sight. Me and those other civilians traded a few strange looks, all in an understandable loss for words. Some of them looked like avid bicyclists. Others just looked like people who'd come out of their cars. I wondered how long that thing had been going on with all those people just driving past like that. Then we heard the gunshots. 5 of them in quick succession. Everybody on the street stopped what they were doing, dumbfounded. In just a few minutes, more and more cops came, followed by an ambulance, and then the army of press. News van after news van drove up to broadcast the scoop, live
This
on the
shit
scene.
is crazy.
Whatever. I heard some office building captured the whole thing on their security cameras. It was the talk of the town for weeks. I'm sure the name Miami was heard all across the world alongside zombie attack, cannibal eats face off homeless man, Florida man gets wasted and eats face. I don't care for any of that. People who weren't there seem fascinated by it, but I know more than anything that I never want to see pictures of that horrible tragedy. Just from seeing it one time, I was shaken up for months. I still get hair standing up on the back of my neck whenever I pass under a bridge.
A person who was riding his bike here off the MacArthur Causeway yesterday afternoon says he saw one man eating another man alive.
You're about to hear from the Miami man who had his face chewed off.
This is real?
My eyes got plucked out.
And ignored the officer's orders to stop eating the other
Still
man's
alive?
face.
Man, bro.
Hi, I'm Dez, and this is the Chevy Equinox.
That shit is crazy.
Now, the Equinox has a perfect blend of design, performance, technology, and convenience. Let's take a look at some of the exciting features Equinox has to offer.
Out of every day that I have ever lived through, even with so many of them being so hard, there is one that stands out as the worst day of my entire life. It was my mother's 63rd birthday. The morning started just like any other. I helped my little girl get dressed and ready for school. It was supposed to be a big day for her. She'd been practicing for her school spelling bee for weeks, and today was the day. The two of us were about to walk out the door when my husband grabbed me on the shoulder and stopped us before the door. "You can't let her go to school looking like that. She looks unkempt. What will people think when she's on stage?" I was going to just accept that he was right and change our daughter into some different clothes, but my mother, who was living with us at the time, had a bit of a grudge against my husband, and she wouldn't have it. It was her birthday after all.
Who do you think you're talking to? If you make my granddaughter late for school on the day of her recital, you got another thing coming. Go, baby, get out of here. Don't let that oaf tell you what to do.
My husband looked a little dumbstruck by my mother's resistance to his remark. He was usually the head of the household,
This bitch remind me of a
he
Karen, bro.
would always get his way. But ever since my mother retired and started living with us, she had fought him for control over every little thing. I didn't want to be caught in the crossfire between the two
you
of
still in
them
the
on
chat,
that
bro?
day, so I just left like my mother told me to. I dropped my daughter off at school, then spent several hours running errands. Early in the afternoon, I got a call from my mother.
here, man.
For some reason, she was elated.
Huh. Today
3
sure
people in the chat, 3
is a
people in the
good
chat.
day, dear. How's about you take your old lady out for some coffee and pastries for her
Okay, cool.
birthday?
There wasn't really any way that I could say no. I might have married a controlling man, but I was born to an even more demanding and particular mother. So I put a hold on the grocery shopping I was about to do and met her at her favorite cafe in town, which was, of course, ridiculously overpriced and overrated. She ordered the most expensive things on the menu on my tab, then told me to take pictures of her holding them up to commemorate the occasion. When I asked for a bite, she said,
Oh, give it a rest, honey. I've done enough for you today. I deserve this to myself.
I was confused by what she meant, but I didn't bother to ask. I heard my phone go off from my purse, and I welcomed the distraction.
I thought that was
I
my
got
phone.
a text from my sister-in-law asking where my mother was. I replied that she was at the coffee house with me, but I didn't get a reply. Instead, about 15 minutes later, the police pulled up. They marched inside with forlorn faces and told us to follow them to the police station, but they wouldn't tell us why. Now, I understand that they didn't want to make a scene at the place of business. When we got to the station, we were met by a man in a suit who spoke to us softly. Hello, ma'ams. I have some very unfortunate news. If you would, I'd like to talk to one of you at a time in this room here. The other can sit in the waiting room with your family.
Oh, let me go first. It's my birthday.
Sure. Come with me, ma'am. And so, my mother disappeared into a windowless room with that man, as I was ushered into a larger waiting room, where I found my entire family of in-laws sitting in quiet, sobbing despair. I asked them,
Do any of you know what's going on?
but none of them answered. They just looked at me with daggers in their tearful eyes. Confused, I found a seat away from them, up against the wall that was shared with the room my mother had just been taken into. I was soon to find out that that room was purposed for interrogations and had an extremely thin wall. Something terrible happened today, ma'am. Your son-in-law has passed away.
Huh? What'd you say?
Your daughter's husband has been killed.
She killed the dad. Fat ass little girl, bro.
Oh no!
In that moment, my world collapsed. I'd just seen my husband alive a few hours ago, but now he was gone. I couldn't think of a single person who would want to hurt him, but then it hit me. The last person I'd left him alone with was my own mother.
So he's dead?
Yes, he was killed. He was shot 12 times in his own home.
Damn!
Yay! Happy birthday to me. I did it.
This bitch
I
time out, yeah.
Everything after that
Touching my
is
face,
just a blur.
acne hurts.
They called my daughter out of school and made us go
Stop
in the
touching
room
it,
with
bro.
my mother.
When you touch your face, you got acne. It's
something
gonna irritate it. Cause like, even if your hand's clean, you still got like germs on your hand. You feel me? So the more and more you touch your face, the more blackheads, the more bumps and shit you gonna have in your face. So just stop touching your face with your hands. You feel me? Only touch your face with your hands when you are like 100% sure your hands are clean. After they've just been washed. You feel me? So.
Aren't you so happy, baby? You're free now. No more of that jerk hanging around.
But there was nothing I could say. I'm still struggling to recover from that day, almost 10 years ago. I just can't believe how deranged she became, that she would do something so despicable and then celebrate it. She even made me take her out to lunch afterwards. I know I didn't marry a perfect man, but she had no right to do what she did. We could have worked things out, but now none of that is possible. But over everything else, it's my daughter I pray for. For her grandmother to take away her father like that and act like she was doing her a favor. I just don't understand what snapped in that woman's mind.
What did you think of him? Okay, why do you say that?
That's the big thumbs down. You didn't like him.
I want to tell you that just within the last 30 minutes, the judge did rule that there is now enough evidence for Cynthia Sidabaka to stand trial for murder.
Is he dead? You tell me. He's gotta be dead. Is he dead?
He's dead.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh boy, oh boy. Good, 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 good. Oh, thank you.
Ugh, like, look at her arms.
Thank you.
Nasty, ugly old bitch. That shit. Alright, she
Imagine
do
what
look
would happen
crazy. Like,
if every person in the
bro.
United States suddenly visited your website. Would it crash? Not if you built your site on.
I used to work at a Walmart before I got fired for a headphone-related incident.
Look what I got, Chad.
I worked in the clothing department, and since Walmart isn't exactly known for its hot fashion, it was generally pretty slow. Aside from folding and hanging up clothes, there wasn't much else to do. That's why I picked up the habit of hiding my AirPods behind my hair and listening to music to get through the boredom of my shifts. I was fully aware that this was against company policy, but I didn't really care. I would have quit from the lack of stimulation alone if it weren't for my music. And it wasn't like my supervisor was around much anyway. I don't think they ever would have known if it weren't for the major incident which got me fired. The day started like any other. I finished the tasks left over from the previous shift and got settled into my usual spot by the fitting room, folding the same 10 articles of clothing over and over again, while tucked into a corner in which I'd only be seen by customers who were already in the fitting room aisle. It took almost an hour before I got my first customer. Hello, sir. I'd like to try on these clothes, please. He had about 5 or 6 articles of clothing, so I handed him a tag numbered 6 and pointed him down the aisle as I gave him my usual customer service voice. All the rooms are available. Hang this outside your door to let others know your room is occupied. Well, thank you very much. After waiting a few seconds for a response he didn't get, he gave up and took the first door on the left. Even on slow days, the business came in waves, so it wasn't more than a minute later before the next customer approached me. At a glance, I could tell there was something a little off about the guy. He didn't seem like the type of person that would usually buy clothes, like at all. But it didn't matter to me. I treat all customers with the same level of hospitality. None. Can I get into one of those rooms? The guy had far more than 10 articles of clothing, which is the limit per customer, but there was no way I was going to argue with him over it. So I just handed him a tag number 10 and sent him on his way away from me. All the rooms except the first one on the left are available. Hang this outside your door to let others know your room is occupied. He took the tag slowly, like he wasn't sure if it was some kind of trap or not. Then he went into the second room on the left. I knew that was weird, because most people would put a little more space between themselves and the people changing next to them. The fitting rooms were more like stalls. The walls don't go all the way down to the floor and they don't reach the ceiling. But there was nothing I was willing to do about it. That alone was not a good enough reason to interrupt somebody while they were changing. So I just went back to folding, waiting for them to come out and give me more clothes to fold. A few minutes in, my favorite song came on shuffle. I discreetly turned the volume up a few notches, just to jam out a little bit for the one song. Then I turned it back down so I could hear new customers approaching. That's when the weird guy came out. I thought it was strange how he came out before the other guy, considering he had so much more clothes. He had all the clothes jumbled up into one tangled mess, which he plopped down on the cart in front of me. Thank you. Have a blessed day. He sounded out of breath, like he'd just done a fitting room speed run. He gave me a good look at the bloodshot white of his eyes, then tore his gaze away and walked off in a rush. I shrugged. Oh well, just another day of dealing with Walmart shoppers. But as I was folding up the clothes he just dropped off, I noticed something I'd never seen before. Not even at Walmart. There were bloodstains smeared all over the clothes. Little ones at first, just an eye-catching dab or two. Then more and more towards the bottom, until the last shirt was nearly soaked in red. I began to panic, pausing my music to hear my quickened breath. I put aside the clothes and walked down the aisle. The number 6 tag was still hanging on the first door, and beneath it, a thick pool of blood seeping out into the aisle. I pushed open the door, revealing the source. The nice man from before was stuffed into the corner with his face torn to shreds, skin hanging off the bone. His half-naked body full of deep holes still spilling out with blood. The blood was everywhere. And on the mirror, a message had been written in it by hand. The writer's fingerprints visible in the coagulation. The parting words of the killer read, "The devil made me do it." Needless to say, I got fired that day. But I don't care. I don't even care that they caught the guy the same day. All I can think about when I remember that day is, how could I have let it happen? If I'd just been doing my job, if I'd only been paying just one little bit of attention, I could have heard that man being murdered. Maybe then, I could have done something to stop it. Maybe I could have intervened, or screamed, or something. I could have done anything to save that man's life. But no, I wasn't doing any of those things. I was lost in my own little world within my AirPods. And that man is dead because of me. Worse, he's more than dead.
On most vacations, you take a trip. But in Israel, you'll take a journey you'll never forget. Here, you'll experience things so extraordinary from the
I really shouldn't be talking about this, but I've been keeping the secret from everyone for decades now. And as I've gotten more old and withered over the years, I'm close enough to death that I no longer care if they find me. It was the early 90s, and I just hit flat broke and fell out on the streets. I consider myself a wise and seasoned hobo these days, but back then I was a rather hopeless case. I barely had any experience with living on my own, let alone without a home. Not only that, but the city was a lot smaller all those years ago, so finding money was that much harder. I would spend all my time begging and pleading, and by the end of most days I wouldn't even have enough change to buy a hot dog from the convenience store. I tried everything I could think of. Busy streets, residential streets, kindness, crassness. I just wasn't getting anywhere. By the end of my first couple months, I was starving. My bones were protruding from my skin, and I could barely keep my eyes open from the lack of energy. It just goes to show the way people are, because many of them won't take pity on you, even if you look as bad as I did. I was sitting on the sidewalk, shivering from the first autumn wind and jingling my cup when some jerkwad in a cheap suit slapped it out of my hand, sending all my money flying into the air and tumbling down into the sewer. "Go get a job, you worthless bum." Then he walked off. I struggled to get to my feet and tried to pick up my quarters, but people kept accidentally kicking me, so I gave up on it. I stumbled away from that no-good avenue to a more relaxing street. I already knew this particular street was popular among the homeless, and I will admit, I had the intention of begging them for food or change, but without much expectation of that working. So you could understand my surprise when I saw a homeless couple sprawled out on a park bench all fat and happy, smiling and laughing and chatting. So this guy walks up to me and says, "Hey man, have you seen the newest Demon Slayer episode?" And I said, "I can't watch Demon Slayer, I'm homeless." Laughter was something I hadn't experienced in a very long time, and I certainly hadn't looked that well fed since even before I became homeless. I went right up to them and started to ask, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be a bother, but I'm having a really rough time out here, and I see that you guys are doing well. All I want to ask is, how have you been able..."
See, Demon Slayer, I be seeing like clips of it like on TikTok and stuff, right? But I really never got a chance to like watch it. I watched like a half an episode. I watched the episode and a half an episode too. But I really never got a chance to finish it at all. But just because this episode brought Demon Slayer up, and just because you said Demon Slayer is nice, I'm gonna watch it. You feel me?
Able to keep your health? Or how do you panhandle? Like, what's your approach? Get lost, buddy. Please, sir, I beg of you. Winter is coming and I haven't eaten in weeks. I won't survive if I don't get something to eat. I don't want anything from you but knowledge. All right, man, keep it down. I'll tell you how we've been getting fed, but you gotta swear to God that you won't tell anyone about this, or I guarantee that starvation will be the least of your worries. You got that?
Oh, I do. I swear, on the Lord in heaven above, may he bless you and your lady. Thank you.
Alright, man, listen up, because I'm only gonna say this once. Walk 2 blocks west to the edge of the woods. On the far side of the street, there's a loose manhole cover. Enter and follow the sewer until you meet the old head, Maynard. He feeds the homeless. Now, get lost. I heeded him and got out of there. My brain was so fried by starvation that when I found the manhole, I didn't even think about the stench of the sewer once. But I did make myself wait until sundown. It seemed obvious with all the secrecy that man had pressed upon me that you weren't supposed to be seen going in. Getting there in the early twilight, I heaved off the manhole cover with what felt like the last of my strength, then stepped down onto the ladder and dragged the cover back, sealing myself in the musky darkness. I carefully made my way down the ladder until my feet plunged into raw sewage. I didn't even flinch, let alone recoil, or I might have noticed what was off about the sewer water. Instead, I reached into my pocket and found a lighter, flicking it on to provide myself some meager guidance in the oppressive stench. There were only 2 ways to go, forward and backward, but on the wall of the tunnel was some writing, crudely smeared on in some kind of dripping red ink, or maybe it was blood. It read, Maynard's Buffet, with an arrow pointing down the tunnel. Seems like I'm in the right place. As I thought aloud, I heard my voice echo many miles through the corridors, stirring a number of creatures that were living within them. All of a sudden, I could hear the scurrying and chirping of rats that I hoped were running away from the sound of my voice and not toward it. But I didn't have the mental fortitude to linger on the grimness of my situation, not with all the ravenous hunger racking my brain. I pressed on, seeing not just more finger-painted signs directing me to the buffet, but also the size of the rats I'd heard. Monstrous things. But that's beside the point. I must have trudged about half a mile through the muck of the sewer when I knew I had to be getting close, because I could hear the people eating. They sounded like animals, growling, lip-smacking, hoots out of sheer celebration. I'd never heard such loud chewing, but even in the sewer, the sound of it made my stomach growl. I picked up my pace and tried to get there quicker, but pretty soon I found myself exhausted, forced to go on at a slow, steady pace. Eventually, I saw an intersection in the tunnel, and that's right about when my lighter ran out of juice. I pressed on, the sound of the feast growing louder and louder. But right as I was about to round the corner, I heard a snap, like a bone being broken in half. I stopped. A chill ran down my spine, trying my hardest not to stir the sewer water. That I could now clearly see was a dark turbid red in the light from around the corner. I crept up to the intersection, then peeked my head around the corner. Squatting in the stagnant drainage of a clogged culvert were 6 or 7 shirtless homeless men, all sat around a floating corpse of a man which they were devouring, ripping the skin from the flesh from bone, breaking the bones and sucking out the marrow, cracking the skull and scooping out the brains, chewing that bright crimson with tendon and sinew stuck between their teeth. And I would have recognized that cheap suit anywhere. I'd seen that jerk just a few hours ago, right before these crazy cavemen killed him and dragged him down here. I turned and ran. I may have been on the verge of starvation, but I would have rather died than become one of them. 30 years later, and I've long since found out how to make a living on the streets, but I'm still traumatized by what I saw. It's my nightmare in every fitful sleep I managed to catch. But I think I've outlived all the faces I remember from around that time, so I can finally get it off my chest without worrying of becoming the buffet myself.
What the hell, man? What do you want?
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie.
What do you want me for? I'm just a bum.
That was fucked up, but like, that dude ain't deserve all that though, bro.
I'm a professional photographer by trade, but I've had a few side hustles in the past. I'm also sort of a fanatic for the paranormal, which has led me down a nut.
Did that dude deserves to be eaten alive like that, bro? Did he, chat? Be honest. I need y'all to be honest, bro. Did that dude deserve to be eaten alive, chat?
Number of photographic rabbit holes, but strictly as a hobby. I never get paid for attempting to actually photograph real ghosts. However, Some years ago, I did combine those interests into an obscure side hustle that ended up getting me into trouble. Basically, I'd take pictures of grieving family members.
He did? You think he did, bro? I don't think he deserved that. That was gruesome. That was.
And Photoshop images of their deceased loved ones into the photographs. It was never my favorite gig, not only because it involved the fabrication of the ghost that I was trying to find proof of, but mainly because I always had the nagging thought in the back of my mind that said it was taking advantage of people who were struggling with the loss of their loved ones. But all those people willingly responded to my ad. I never charged them much, just enough to make ends meet, so I continued to do it. Unfortunately, there was one client who forced me to stop. From the very beginning, I was getting strange feelings about their request. But at that point, I was already starting to get the idea into my head that I was really helping these people with their grieving process somehow. She called me around midnight with a strange excitement in her voice. "You've reached Sunday Morning Photography. How may I produce your memorable photos?"
Hi, I saw your ad on Facebook. How much do you charge for a funeral photography session?
Well, the usual rate is $100 for an hour-long shoot. About 2 weeks until you receive your 5 finished photographs.
Can you get them to me by Monday if I give you $500?
Sure.
Great, I'll text you the details.
I was a little flabbergasted. $500 for an hour on camera and 4 hours in the Photoshop was better than my professional rate at the time. I didn't really question why she needed them so fast, but I thought it was weird that she didn't even tell me who had died. Though, within minutes she'd send over a dozen text messages, really long and drawn out blocks of text, detailing how distraught and depressed she was due to the sudden death of her 2-year-old daughter, and how she didn't want to talk about it over the phone. Before I even had time to type the words, "my condolences," she completely switched into business mode. She gave me a detailed list of the kinds of photos she wanted, how she wanted them composed, which pictures of her daughter she wanted to use, and how. Just a lot of very specific requirements that grieving people wouldn't usually care about. Most of the time, they're too preoccupied with grief itself to deal with the details. After all, a professional gets paid for the details, but this woman was something else. She had what she wanted in mind, and she wouldn't accept anything different in the slightest. All that said, because she was paying me so much, I ignored the feeling of suspicion in my gut and met her the very next morning. She told me to meet her at a certain cemetery, which led me to believe that we'd be taking photos at her.
This nigga finna get set up, bro. I ain't gonna lie, chat. He finna get set up, bro. I don't know how or by who, but this nigga's about to get set up. For sure.
Daughter's grave. Then she asked me,
which one of these gravestones would look best for the photo shoot?
You mean your daughter hasn't been buried yet?
No. I told you, I'm getting these photos for her service. Now, answer the question.
From that point on, I didn't ask any questions. We walked together through the cemetery until she found a random gravestone that she liked. That's when I began the photo shoot. She was the most nitpicky, particular customer I've ever had. I nearly filled up an entire SD card with duplicate pictures because the tiniest thing was out of place, or she didn't have the right facial expression. The whole time I was just hoping that the family of whoever this gravestone belonged to didn't show up and start screaming at us. This woman even had a book as a prop. I think it was titled The Giving Tree. She made me take a photo every second as she read the entire thing to her dead daughter, who wasn't even there. Then, after the hour of the photo shoot was over, she held me up for another hour as she scrolled through all of the hundreds of photos and picked out the 5 that she wanted produced. After she was finally gone, I purchased a few energy drinks and went home to pull an all-nighter to get all of her pictures done before the next morning. Honestly, I just wanted to be done with this client and claim my money. Thankfully, she didn't hassle me about the quality of the Photoshop upon delivery. That's what most people had issues with, but she didn't care. I saw the money hit my bank account and I thought I was finally done with that horrible woman. But I sure wasn't. A few days later, I got a knock on my door. The kind of banging that sounds like someone's trying to beat down your door, that makes you shoot out of bed in your underwear. I answered the door to 2 men in suits who held up their badges as they introduced themselves. "Good morning, sir. We are homicide investigators from the state. We have a few questions we'd like to ask you. You're not under arrest, but we'd like you to come into the local station." Sure. I haven't done anything wrong, so it shouldn't take long. But of course, I was there all day. My side gig had gotten me wrapped up in a murder case. That awful witch had taken advantage of me. She was under suspicion of murdering her own daughter. She had me take those photos to make her look innocent, like she was grieving and yearning for her lost daughter, when she was the one that killed her. That incident ruined my reputation. From that moment on, I never did another one of those gigs. I never should have done them to begin with.
She used my work to make people think that she's innocent.
What did she want in the photos?
She told me that her daughter's favorite book was The Giving Tree. And she said, I want me holding the book, reading it to my daughter, Macy, who passed away. And I want to be looking down at her while she's reading the book. She wanted this more than any other photo. When I look at that photo now, I see, Mommy, why'd you do this?
Imagine what would happen if every person in the United States suddenly visited your website. Would it crash? Not if you built your site on Wix.
That is fucked up, bro. Kill your own daughter then, use a nigga.
When I was still in college, I worked part-time at the local Walmart to make ends meet. Nowadays, I'm extremely grateful that my degree has kept me employed in a more respectable career, because I almost didn't make it out of my time at Walmart alive. I remember one night in particular, when the danger came to a head. It was a Friday. I was taking a few hours to catch up on my studying before going out for the night, but I got a call from my manager. Hey, Sally, we need you to come into work tonight. Miriam didn't show up again.
It don't matter if you in my stream. You was in my other streams, bro.
I'll be there in an hour.
It seemed like that there have been a lot of no-call, no-shows recently. I certainly didn't appreciate losing my night out to a late shift at work, but more than that, I didn't want to be the type of person that left their workplace short-staffed. That being said, I could already feel myself getting closer and closer to that point. The turnover was high, for a good reason. The pay was minimum wage, and management was always taking advantage of the people who didn't walk out the door. People like me. When I showed up at around 9, I was glad to see that it was a slow night for a Friday. Back when I was working there, Walmart used to stay open far later than it does today. I could see why they made the decision to change their hours. I only saw about a dozen cars in the entire parking lot, and most of the customers were already checking out. Still, I was pretty sour about the whole thing. It wasn't like I was getting paid overtime for this. The next several hours dragged on uneventfully, until finally my manager made the closing announcement. Attention valued Walmart customers, the store is now closing. Please finish shopping and make your way to the checkout lanes. Thank you, and have a safe night. The way he delivered that announcement, you'd think he was a nice guy, but he was only that way to the customers, not with the employees. I checked out my last customer and was about to walk out the door for the night when he yelled at me. Hey Sally, where do you think you're going?
I'm going home? I just clocked out.
No, you're not. Miriam's shift was 8 to close, so that means you're gonna help close the store.
Alright, what do you need me to do?
Well, for starters, walk around all the aisles and make sure all the customers are on their way out.
You got it, boss.
The store was probably all but empty by the time he made his announcement. I didn't see anybody until I got to the electronics section. But of course, when it's the dead hours of the morning and you're trying to close so you can go home and get some sleep, the one person left in the store is always the one person who gives the most trouble. He was just some old fat guy staring at the wall of TVs. At first, I thought it was strange that he could be fixated on the same minute-long action movie preview that constantly plays on the TVs, but I quickly realized that somehow there was something else playing on the one he was staring into. I approached him slowly.
Excuse me, sir. The store is closed. You'll have to leave and come back to buy that tomorrow.
He didn't answer to me. He didn't even move or blink or give any indication that he was aware of my presence.
Sir? Would you mind coming back tomorrow?
Not a single muscle twitched. He was engrossed into whatever he was watching. but I was ready to go home.
Sir, the store is closed. If you stay any longer, you will be trespassing.
Just a moment, Sally. I'm watching my favorite horror film. I gasped. I had no idea he knew my name. I had already clipped off my name tag when I'd clocked out a few minutes before then. Maybe he'd heard my manager yelling at me.
Get out or I'm calling the cops!
He stared me down with the smuggest of looks, then finally turned and walked away. I let out a sigh of relief. With him gone, there was nobody left in the store, so I went ahead and started shutting down the television displays. I began with the TV that the creepy old fat guy was enthralled with. I only glanced at the screen enough to realize that there was some sadistic gore movie playing on it, not something management would be okay with. I quickly reached behind the TV and ejected the disc he'd left. It was a blank disc, home burnt, with the date written on it with a Sharpie. It was dated 2 days before that night. I pocketed the disc and went back to work until I was finally allowed to go home. But when I plopped down on my couch, I couldn't relax. Something was lingering in the back of my mind. So I fished the disc out of my work pants and fed it into my DVD player. Immediately, my heart sank. There was no Hollywood reject. It was a homemade recording. And there were no actors. Only real people in mortal peril. A real-life snuff film. And the unwilling stars were my co-workers. I watched in petrified horror as the girls I thought had skipped out on work were tied up, tortured, brutalized, and eventually executed on camera. And at the end, the eyes of Miriam pleaded through the screen for help, but her mouth was taped shut. The things that man did to those girls, I just can't even talk about it anymore. I'm sorry. It makes me sick to my stomach. And even after all these years, I'm still so paranoid that I'd run into trouble on my way home from work one night and never show up again. Who was that man? And why did he even have the nerve to play this disc at the Walmart that was supplying his victims? I panicked. I quit the next day and never looked back. I also reported the disc to the police, but nothing ever came out of it. Every night I contemplate whether I was next. After all, he knew my name.
I don't know if anyone who needs this advice will be able to find this, but I'm going through the trouble of telling the story on the off chance that it will reach the right person. I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm homeless. I'm posting this on a library computer to a website some kid on the street told me about. Anyone out there who's in danger of becoming homeless needs to remember what I'm about to tell them. If you have people you can trust, never leave their side, for their protection and yours. I'm usually the first guy to follow this rule, but a few weeks ago, I forgot it for just one night. I was walking down the streets of northern Las Vegas around evening time. Probably a sketchy situation for most, but I felt pretty comfortable. The bothersome police mostly left this neighborhood to its own devices, and I had quite a few friends in the area. That's just the kind of guy I am. I can make friends with almost anybody, no matter how down and out any of us get. I just found a bag of half-eaten McDonald's in a trash can, so I was ready to find a place to sit down and eat, then turn in for the night. I dragged my mat of cardboard into an alleyway where I knew a guy named Skeg would be living. I'm sure Skeg wasn't his real name, but most homeless people in Vegas are hiding and in debt to somebody, so we almost never tell our real names.
Hey, Bert, want some dumpster pizza? It's pretty fresh.
Only if I can trade you some less than fresh hamburgers.
You drive a hard bargain, Bert, but I'll have to accept. Sit down, let's divvy.
Sure is a nice night. That's just how we were, Skeg and I. It certainly wasn't a nice night. I was just saying that. The sun was setting fast and the bone-chilling nighttime air was blowing in even quicker. But we were in good spirits despite all that. We had food and company, and that was all we needed. Though I think Skeg had found himself a little booze with that pizza, because he was acting a little more freely than usual. I almost hit the jackpot in the casino today, Bert. One little inch away, and that $5 would have been 5,000. One of these days, I tell ya, Skeg's gonna win it big. Oh yeah? What would you do with $5,000? You gonna invest it? Bah! All that investment crap is slow money. I'd get one of them blackjack tables and I'd clear it out. Double my money, then double it again. You know, Skeg, if somebody gave me $5, I'd spend it on food. I wouldn't gamble it away. That's how I got in the mess that I'm in. And that, Bird, is why you'll stay in the mess you're in, rotting in poverty, while Skeg is out shooting for the stars. Don't you know the sky's the limit? You can't stay stagnant. I don't need to hear this. Have a good night shooting for the stars, Skeg. I wish I could have just swallowed my pride and stayed there for the night. But in my grandstanding attitude, I made myself walk out into the cold to find a different place to sleep. I didn't feel like walking up on someone in the dark and giving them a fright, so I thought I'd just spend the night alone. I laid down my cardboard mat behind a gas station, pulled on my raggedy old blanket, and started to drift off. That's when I heard something sniffing right in my ear. Half asleep, I brushed it off and rolled over, thinking it was just a stray dog smelling my breath. Then, I don't know what, but something made me throw off my blanket. The cold air woke me up right then, and before I could pry my eyes open, I could tell just from the dead quiet that I'd slept for some time. It must have been 4 a.m., but soon enough my eyes opened and focused in, and there was a hooded man standing right over me. He wasn't moving, just looking down at me with shrouded eyes. He was holding a plastic bag for some reason. I could hear it crinkling in the wind, and it looked like he was hiding something in his sleeve.
What the hell, man? What do you want?
Ew.
What do you want me for? I'm just a bum.
That wacko didn't respond. He just started to lift up his arm, letting his sleeve fall back. Then, sirens started to echo from around the corner. The creep froze, glanced around in every direction, then bolted out of nowhere. I got out of there too, before the cop showed up or he came back. I decided being alone wasn't worth the hassle, so I hustled back to Skeg's alley. When I got there, he was slumped over on his side, facing the wall. By then, I was freezing cold, so I did something I don't normally do. I laid down right next to Skeg and threw my blanket over the both of us so I could capture some of his body heat. Pretty quickly though, I could tell it wasn't working. It was like he was barely giving off any warmth at all. And what was worse, his cardboard mat was wet. At first I thought it might have rained, but then I remembered I lived in Nevada. Skeg? I threw off the blanket again and tried to shake him awake, but he didn't stir. I stood up and rolled him onto his back, revealing the worst.
Skeg! Skeg, man, come on, wake up!
He'd been attacked. His face was caved in by several strikes from a blunt object, and all of the blood he lost onto the mat meant he was surely dead. I stood in horror.
Good, bro?
A chill ran down my spine as I made the connection between this and the guy that had woken me up. I ran straight to the only place I knew could help, the 24-hour diner 4 blocks away. I told them everything and they called the police. If I'd only stayed with Skeg that night, he'd be alive, and I wouldn't have gotten so close to death myself. Oh well, I guess he got his chance to shoot for the stars and he took it. Just goes to show how important what I said was. Don't ever get caught out alone, because you never know when or where wackos like that creep are lurking. I heard he killed more than one homeless person, just stalking the streets with a hammer and a hood, bludgeoning people to death in their sleep. What's gotten into people these days?
That shit crazy. Wait. On February 22nd, on February 22nd, 2017, the Las Vegas Police Department set up a dummy wrapped in a blanket disguised as a homeless decoy in the streets of downtown Las Vegas. This was executed as an effort to bait a killer due to multiple reports of homeless people getting smashed with a hammer in their sleep. But why though? Like, what make you just do that to me, bro? What's your problem, bro?
When you first did it, were you sure it was a dummy?
Yes.
The problem being is we've had some other people struck in the head. in the exact same fashion that you struck this dummy in the head. You're gonna go to Clark County. I am? Yeah. Why? Because you make us nervous. You do? Yeah, you do.
Bro.
The story I'm about to tell is as true as the sky is blue. And even though it happened something like 15 years ago now, I remember every detail flawlessly. I was just a high school dropout doing what it took to make ends meet. No glamour about it. Walmarts used to stay open way after dark, even in the desolate rural areas like I grew up in. I was hired in as some kind of all-around helper, doing anything and everything my bosses told me to. I tell you, I was busting my back. Most of the hours I spent in Walmart, I don't remember. I was working so hard running the register by myself. But it was finally time to start cleaning up and counting the bills in the register. I was right in the middle of counting up all the ones when the man in question stormed up to the counter with a hoodie and a pair of jeans crumpled up in his arms. He was filthy and sweaty from the warm summer night, and his elbows and knees were all scraped up. He had a cross tattoo on his forearm with a bulging vein running across it, and he wore the most raggedy stained white tank top and shorts. He threw the clothes on the counter and demanded to buy them. "Hey mister, I need to buy these clothes, alright? I got the money." I couldn't help but roll my eyes. He made me lose track of the number I was on. "I'm sorry sir, but I just started counting the money in the register. I can't make any more transactions here. You'll have to go up to the front. You should hurry before they start closing."
I don't have time for that. I need to buy these here, now. I'm in a rush.
I got a little freaked out by how suddenly his demeanor changed. I'd been working in that Walmart for long enough. I knew better than to aggravate a customer like him any further. So even though it was against policy, I rang him up with the about $300 in untraceable cash sitting right behind the counter. The man handed me a torn and crumpled $20 bill, leaving him about $3 short. I gave him an apprehensive look, but decided to just... It's nighttime, but it was still over 80 degrees outside, which made that action a little strange to me. But by then it was too late. Without a word, he ran out of the store. I tried my best to get the encounter out of my mind, but it was no use. Barely 10 minutes later, a whole army of cop cars came barreling into the parking lot. They locked down the entire Crossroads Plaza and came in questioning everybody in the store. They told everyone they were looking for a convicted killer who'd escaped from prison and was on the run. And when they gave the man's description, I kicked myself.
"The fugitive is a white male, late 40s, wearing a white tank top and shorts."
I played in my head over and over again, looking for ways I could have played my cards more responsibly. I can't shake the thought that if I just stalled him for a few more minutes, or if I'd stood my ground about store policy and made him go up to the front, maybe he would have been caught. I'm always baffled that he didn't steal the wad of cash I left sitting right in front of his eyes. I know he must have been tempted, but he probably thought better of it. The worst part is, after all these years, that man is still on the loose. But when I get too down on myself for all that, there's one thing I can remember that makes me feel a little better about myself. Caught by the police on his very first day on the run. But he somehow convinced the cop that he was a jogger.
I'm in the stream right here, man. Today was a W stream, bro. Today was a W stream. 2 back-to-back uploads, 2 back-to-back streams, man. Look at the chat, look at the chat, look at the chat. Chat went crazy today, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Even though it's the same person typing in the chat the whole stream, chat went crazy today. And on the last stream before this, even though it was laggy, chat still went crazy on the last stream too, man. But I ain't gonna lie. Hope y'all boys have a good